What's up, movie lovers? I'm Mike, and this is Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, you guys, this is the coolest thing. This is the coolest thing. We're back. We're back for Gotta Love Them Movies. Oh, it's my favorite talk show. It's my favorite thing to bring to you guys. And today we have a very special show. If you've been watching the show, you're familiar with kind of the format. You know, I'm still going to tell you how to subscribe to the YouTube channel, but, you know, we usually go over movie news, like new news that has dropped for the day. We've got, sorry, I just looked at my phone. I had a notification. Now my brain is like, woo, what's happening? We usually go over, like, movie news that dropped for the day. And then we go for, like, a day-specific thing. Like, if it's Wednesdays, we have movie reviews. If it's Tuesday, it's Toy Tuesdays. Speaking of Toy Tuesdays, we still have a pair of Leonardo, Ninja Turtle blue bandana sunglasses up for grabs. This is a New York Comic-Con exclusive. Hang on a second, Linda. I've yet to introduce you. Nobody knows who's speaking. Yeah, this is a Ninja Turtle blue bandana pair of sunglasses, 2015 New York Comic-Con exclusives. If you want, jump down to the comment section below and write the words Toy Tuesdays to be considered for the running. Share the video, like the video, make sure that you subscribe on YouTube, all that good stuff. Anyway, I have people speaking in my ears, and now I want to introduce them to you. Guys, we are having two debaters. The whole format of the day is we're debating movies. I am so ridiculously excited for this. This is the first time we're doing this. This is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time now. And now it's time to introduce both of our debaters. So, ladies and gentlemen, for our first debater, coming all the way from Anchorage, Alaska, put your hands together for Ms. K. Hartman.
Oh my gosh, the crowd is going wild. It's incredible. Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun. I hope.
Hey, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? What makes you, but I know you're an avid cosplayer. You're also a member of the 501st Star Wars cosplay group. Like, what else can you tell? I know, Rocket Man, or the Rocketeer, I'm sorry. Rocketeer. Loki's little horns up there, his helmet. You got a TARDIS.
Yes.
Besides being an avid geek, an avid nerd, a cosplayer, what qualifies you to be on a movie talk show?
Oh gosh, I have a degree in history, and my focus is films, specifically World War II cinema and the Office of War Information. So I would say that I know a little bit about movies. Much to my professor's dismay, I always manage to bring my papers back around to like film representations, and my favorite feedback I ever got on a paper was, well, somehow you did it.
Wow. So the gauntlet has been thrown. Yeah. The gauntlet has been thrown. All right.
No, I've been out of school for like 6 years
sure.
now.
Okay. All right. And in our other corner, coming all the way from Gainesville, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, a very good friend of mine, a former, I think classmate is the only thing that's coming to mind. That is not true. A former teammate of mine on a sketch team I used to be in. Put your hands together for Ms. Linda Moulton.
Hey.
Linda, how's it going?
It's going pretty well.
How is it battling two hurricanes simultaneously?
Well, those actually hit Louisiana, so that's...
Thank you for semantics. I appreciate that.
It was kind of raining a little bit this afternoon, so it was kind of like,
Great. Two hurricanes, and all you got was a light shower. Awesome.
Pretty
Linda,
much, yeah.
You and I were on a sketch team together. I know that we also cosplay together. We did Ninja Turtles, the Ninja Turtle villains.
We did.
At New York Comic-Con a couple years ago. Same question I asked to Kay. What qualifies you to be on a movie talk show like this?
Well, like, during the summers, I'm pretty much a movie, like, enthusiast. I will literally see a movie 8 times in the cinema. Like, in 1998, I saw The Parent Trap, Moulton, like, pretty much 8 times.
Not
Sorry,
Armageddon?
That's
I would have watched Armageddon 8 times, because it was 1998.
I know. I'm kind of scared of disaster movies.
Oh,
that's about it. Sorry.
You do live in Florida, so I will give you that
This
one.
is true. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so these are our two contestants. These are our two contenders going head-to-head in a battle of wits. We are just about ready. I hope you are just about ready to begin oh man, I almost said the great debate. That is not the name of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you Gotta Debate Them Movies.
I don't know what we're yelling about! It's terrible! She has beautiful eyes and her hair smells like cinnamon! Loud noises!
All right, you guys, this has Gotta Debate Them Movies. Woohoo! If you guys have a question or a debate topic that you want to send in, that you want to see other people debate, or if you want to try and debate on live yourself, please send us a link, send me an email at GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. GottaLoveThemMovies@gmail.com. Put in the subject line debate question. I will have so many debates in the future coming up. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, I think it's about time to get this party started. Ladies and gentlemen, what do you say we jump into the rules? So here are the debate rules. And I'm reading these to our two debaters at the same time that I'm saying them to you. The debate rules. There will be 5 rounds. The debaters will be assigned which side of the argument they are defending. Each debater will have 5 minutes in total to present their argument. We'll go kind of back and forth, beat for beat. We don't want to make this a 4-hour show, you guys. So that's why we're putting a 5-minute time limit on each side of the argument. The winner for each round will be determined by who crafted the better argument, not by what we think the better film or better actor or better character is. Who has the best argument? It can be a completely garbage movie. I mean, yesterday on the show, I was complaining about how much I hate the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine. I absolutely hate that movie. It is an abomination. It is garbage. It's terrible. And if I ever have to debate that movie, I will do it with as much gusto and passion to make you believe that I love this movie and it deserves all of our credence and all the rest of it. So again, I'm sorry. Hang on a second, Linda. Nobody can hear you. Yeah. Oh, and that's another thing. If you're not on screen, nobody can hear you because that's the operating system. Sorry, Linda. As you were saying.
I actually defended Wolverine at Battle of the Superheroes at Edinburgh Fringe and made it to the finals. So.
Oh, epic.
Oh, I feel so sorry for you. I feel so sorry for you. Anyway, guys, so those are the debate rules. Oh, sorry. Best of 5 wins. Sorry, I missed a couple. Best of 5 wins. The winner will return next week to defend their title should they choose. And in case of a tie, we have a coin toss. Now, this is a very specific coin, very particular coin. If anyone can see it, it has a nice, beautiful side on this side and a horribly defaced, scratched side on this side. Yes, that is right. This is Two-Face's coin from Batman, any incarnation of Batman. I have a Two-Face coin, so we will be doing a coin flip just to see who is the winner in case of a tie, like I said. Okay, anyway. On this particular title card, you will see that Linda is perfectly framed. Kay is not.
I'm so
Having
sorry.
some issues early on. In fact, Linda's title card has. You know what? Skype is doing some weird things today. So anytime I bring up one of these frames, we want to hear both of them on screen at the same time, debating, having an argument. So apologies, technical difficulties. This happened literally about 30 seconds before we started the show. So there's nothing I can do about it now. It is what it is. You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our first round. So here in our first round, we are debating Ghostbusters versus Spider-Man. And the topic here is Ghostbusters versus Spider-Man. Who is more effective at protecting New York? So, ladies, I will give you approximately 5 seconds to start thinking of some arguments here. Before you start speaking, I am going to choose for you. So, Linda, you are currently battling 2 hurricanes at the same time. You did not have a light rain this morning. So you were going to get the coin toss. Do you choose heads for Ghostbusters or tails for Spider-Man?
Heads.
It is heads. So you will be arguing for Ghostbusters. Kay, you will be arguing for Spider-Man. Now, this isn't just any Spider-Man. This is a very specific Spider-Man. This is Sam Raimi's version of Spider-Man. Of course, there were 3 films in the Sam Raimi incarnation of Spider-Man. There are also 3 films currently in the Ghostbusters canon. So if anyone needs to draw from any of these films, feel free. Linda, you got the toy toss? I'm doing this all the time. I always confuse my words. It's not a coin toss. It's a coin toss. Linda, you won the coin toss, which means Kay, you get to go first. Are you ready? You are arguing for
I am.
Spider-Man, and you may begin.
Okay, so one of the most important things for us all to consider when we're thinking about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man films is not only were they iconic for a generation, but one of the writing credits on it is Stan Lee. Yes, that Stan Lee of Marvel Comics. He is an icon, he is incredible, and without him, Marvel wouldn't be what it is today. So my biggest argument right out the gate is that Stan Lee's name is attached to these films. Not only that, I'm 30 this year, so this is one of the first Marvel films I saw in a cinema, and I don't know about everybody else, but it blew my mind. Just the special effects, which I now don't find as good. But as a kid, the special effects were great and very entertaining and very intriguing. Not only that, let's talk about Tobey Maguire's character of Spider-Man. So he showed us all the fun things about Spider-Man that we love. That he was a nerd, that he was trying his best, and that he genuinely loved his family. So those are my biggest things. The first one being, of course, Stan Lee. Now let's talk about that Spider-Man costume, because that was the Halloween costume that year. Oh my gosh, we all wanted to be Spider-Man. I specifically remember they had a web slinger toy that everybody wanted, but it was really just silly string more than anything. And, it still made you feel like a superhero at the end of the day. Silly
Awesome.
string
Kay,
Spider-Man.
Thank you so much for your opening argument. Linda, would you care to have an opening argument of your own and tell us why the Ghostbusters are the premier defenders of New York?
Yeah, sure thing. So, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man had the opportunity to be like this underdog, like superhero coming out of the closet, but I feel like the Ghostbusters gave more opportunity to like the nerds that we would find in high school, in like the AV club, the science club, and they were able to like pull on the paranormal activities that they would encounter, and that kind of pushed them off to the side. Plus, they had Bill Murray.
Perfect. Bill Murray. Kay, do you have a counterpoint to any of Linda's points?
I sure do. Well, these are absolutely correct, and you're totally right. However, a giant marshmallow monster attacking the city, I mean, that's scary, but know what's scary? The Green Goblin.
All right, Linda, Green Goblin. Care to retort?
There is no Green Goblin, only Zool.
Interesting. There is no Green Goblin. There is only Zool. Can we pit some of these particular villains? Obviously, you guys have hinted on them a little bit. We have Zool. We have the Stay Puffed Marshmallow Man in the Ghostbusters canon. We also have the Green Goblin. Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery is quite large. How do their villains fare in tearing up the city? Linda, I'm going to throw it to you first. How do the villains fare in their carnage?
I feel like the villains in the Ghostbusters are more teasing. They're more like poltergeists almost. Not really destructive. I would give that to the Spider-Man villains, but psychologically, I would feel like they would cause more damage.
Why?
The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, that gave me nightmares for like 4 years. Seriously. And then in Ghostbusters 2, the brothers who were electrocuted, like, don't don't even get me started. Like,
Interesting. Kay, rebuttal.
in the courtroom scene.
What is it about the Spider-Man Rogues Gallery that is superior when it comes to tearing up New York City?
Well, Zool obviously has the powers of a god, but think about it real hard. What is scarier? Someone who knows they're a god and what their powers are, or someone who thinks they are and has no idea what they're capable of? Oh, that's the Green Goblin.
Oh, frack.
I'm sorry, Linda. Were you quoting Battlestar Galactica right there?
I was.
Good to know. Good to know.
Sorry.
All right. So let's roll into final arguments. Kay, if you can sum your entire argument up, if there's anything that you left out, what is it about Spider-Man that makes him a better defender of New York than the Ghostbusters?
Well, he's your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and that's not limited to one neighborhood. He takes care of all of New York. The Ghostbusters only go when they're called, and they charge for their services.
Ooh, Linda, they charge for their services, and Spider-Man is not limited to any one particular neighborhood. Final rebuttal. Anything you left out?
I feel like the movies did a bit of a disservice to that. We only got to see the Ghostbusters in Manhattan. We don't know if they were able to go to the Bronx, Queens, Brooklyn. So that might have just been like some misleading stuff. And also, yes, they did charge, but at least they're being honest up front.
Interesting. Excellent.
All
right. So that is going to be, we're just going to call the end of this particular argument. Now as the judge, this is a difficult task because I have to weigh the balance of the argument. Personally, before this argument started, when I crafted this question last night, I was thinking to myself, you know what? I actually think the Ghostbusters are a better defender of New York. And of course, I have my own reasonings for that. But based on the arguments, I think this particular round is going to go to Kay. I think Kay, you had a stronger argument. I think you made some deeper points. As Linda, I think from you, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more reasoning why. Like there was one point where you were talking about the two brothers who were ghosts, who were electrocuted, and how that scared you as a kid. I think I would have liked to have seen some of those arguments become a little bit more realized and how that affects the world that the Ghostbusters live in and that kind of thing. I think Kay hammered down on some of those points a little bit better. So for round one, the point goes to Kay Hartman. Excellent. Yay! All right, so let's move on to topic number 2. And this particular question I'm calling Mystique versus Mystique. Rebecca Romijn versus Jennifer Lawrence. Who wore it better? Who wore it better? Both of these women starred, had very prominent starring roles in the X-Men films, both playing the same character of Mystique, both in different timelines. But which Mystique wore the costume better? Not just wore the costume better, but which one of these particular actors did a better job at portraying the character of Mystique in the X-Men films? Linda, you had the coin toss last time. This time it goes to Kay. Kay, heads for Rebecca Romijn, tails for Jennifer Lawrence. Guess the coin toss.
Tails.
Tails. It is tails, indeed. So you will be arguing for Jennifer Lawrence, and Linda, you are arguing for Rebecca Romijn. I will give you guys about 5 seconds to get in your minds a little bit. Rebecca Romijn for Linda, Jennifer Lawrence for Kay. Linda, let's start things off with you. What makes Rebecca Romijn a better Mystique than Jennifer Lawrence?
Well, I feel like the way she was portrayed in the original X-Men series, she just had that general, there was a lack of a backstory, but she just had that embodiment of a mysterious character who fit in with a shapeshifter, etc. She was probably our first introduction to Mystique in the live-action films. And honestly, I was not a fan of Jennifer Lawrence when she got cast in the role. So
tell me why.
She just kind of... it was kind of after Winter's Bone came out, and I just felt that she had a very flat personality, which could have been beneficial to her character in the X-Men series, but I just wasn't. I went into watching those films with not the highest expectations, and then. Yep.
All right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Rebecca
Cool.
Romijn.
Awesome.
All
Yeah.
the way.
I'll give you
Sorry.
a minute just to regroup your thoughts a little bit. Kay, on your side of the coin, what makes Jennifer Lawrence a better Mystique than Rebecca Romijn?
So, first off, that makeup must have taken hours and hours and hours to do. And I'm sure Rebecca Romijn went through a similar process. However, you would assume that over the 10 years between when Rebecca Romijn was first Mystique and when Jennifer Lawrence was first Mystique, there would have been some sort of speeding up of that process. And in reality, there wasn't. It still took about the same amount of time. So, her commitment to that character, knowing going into it that that is what she was signing up for, is incredible. Also, she didn't have to do the last X-Men movie that she did. Her contract was up. She had her chance to get out, and then for somebody who's playing a character they weren't super like in love with, they still decided to do it for the fans and see that character's arc through. And I think that's a really genuinely good thing for an actor to rely on as far as like, what can I do for the fans to finish up this character's story? So that's why Jennifer Lawrence is the superior Mystique.
Jennifer Lawrence being the superior Mystique. Linda, do you have a rebuttal to that? She knew about the makeup process, and she came back to reprise the role when she didn't have to. Thoughts?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but in like X-Men First Class, they did bring back Rebecca Romijn for a Mystique
cameo,
flashback. Yes. I just feel like that was kind of something on a pedestal for Jennifer Lawrence to look up to, and just kind of, I don't know, like the standard for Mystique, because basically before that we just had the animated series and everything. So
this is true, which raises an interesting point. So let me throw this to both of you. Being that, Linda, you just mentioned the animated series, which incarnation, Rebecca Romijn or Jennifer Lawrence, was more closely related to the animated series? Linda, you brought it up, so I'm going to throw it back to you.
Rebecca Romijn.
Great. Tell me what.
Kind of like just. Well, she just kind of had like this. Very pompous like air and mystery, which you could kind of see in Evolution and the original animated series. And then Jennifer Lawrence was a little bit more relatable. They had her more outside of the character in the films. So I feel like she just embodied what the mutant Mystique was supposed to be, essentially.
Okay. Why does Jennifer Lawrence have a closer relationship to Mystique, either in the comics or in the animated series?
So I think she has a closer relationship to Mystique in the comics and the animated series because she had an origin story in this version, and it gave us a chance to understand how she became the more pompous, confident character that she is in the comics and in the cartoons. And these films gave us that chance to see that growth. She started out as like a shy, lost child, became a fun, confident, almost sibling to Professor X, and then further when she became a villain, she got to that level. So we got a chance to see that evolution as opposed to Rebecca Romijn went right into it, which isn't her fault because the character was already established in those films, but I would still maintain that Jennifer Lawrence is a more accurate depiction.
Interesting. All right, cool. So let's go into the last portion here. Linda, I'm going to throw it back to you. Is there anything that you left out, any other points you want to make as to why Rebecca Romijn is the superior Mystique in the films as opposed to Jennifer Lawrence?
I feel like if Jennifer Lawrence was going to be the superior Mystique, we would need a whole Mystique origin series for the X-Men films. Rebecca Romijn kind of embodied the character, and Kay made some great points about her having this evolution from being the shy child and going into the villain that she was. But if we're just taking it as a singular like character, without the origin story, etc., I would have to say that Rebecca Romijn is better Mystique.
Fantastic.
If that makes
I do.
sense.
Okay. Oh,
And
yes.
also, Mystique origin film, please.
I would very
Yes.
much like a Mystique origin
I
film,
agree
yeah.
with that.
Okay. Final arguments. What is it about J-Law? Why is she better? Anything you left out?
One thing I would point out is that Rebecca Romijn, when she finished off that character and her character arc of Mystique, she was in another show, and at one point in the show, I think she was a reporter. Somebody sprayed blue paint on her, and the blue paint that they sprayed on her was the same color as Mystique, and she said it was her way of like nodding and giving a quick little goodbye to the character, and that was nice. Yeah, really lovely. But then she came back for that flashback you mentioned, so she still wasn't willing to let it go, even though Jennifer Lawrence had stepped in her shoes. So that's why I'm maintaining that Jennifer Lawrence is the superior Mystique, because she saw the character through beginning to end and didn't come back.
We had two really strong arguments here. Linda, your argument towards the beginning was a little weak. Kay, you came out of the gate swinging. But towards the end, Linda, you really started swinging me back, saying that like this was the kind of role that she originated. Kay, even though you're speaking with confidence, there was something you said towards the end that kind of, it seemed to throw yourself under the bus just a hair, and for that reason, I'm giving the point to Linda. So we are currently tied 1-1, Kay to Linda. This is awesome. I was leaning with Kay until at the very end. Linda, you came back and you had
I only believed about the things that said. I'm trying so hard here.
You're doing better than I am.
It's funny, Kay, because there were a few points that you made at the beginning that I was like, oh, I wish I was debating right now, because I would, 1-2 sucker punch you. I was like, nope.
Trying.
I was 10 when the first X-Men movie came out. So most of my knowledge of Mystique comes from X-Men Evolution when I was like 11, 12, 13.
Fantastic show. It was a fantastic.
And I've seen exactly this many episodes of the animated show, so I'm like, I have no idea. I've seen more of the Japanese Spider-Man that I have seen of the animated X-Men, so I have no idea what I'm saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Do you agree with my ruling here? Do you feel that Linda had the stronger argument, or do you actually think that Kay had the stronger argument? Jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, we are moving on to debate topic number 3. This is Elsa from Frozen versus Spider-Gwen from Into the Spider-Verse. And the qualifier question is, who would you choose to Freaky Friday with? Whether it's Elsa from Frozen or Spider-Gwen from Into the Spider-Verse, who would be a better person to Freaky Friday with? Kay, you had the coin toss last time. Linda, this version's coin toss this topic's coin toss. Heads for Elsa, tails for Spider-Gwen. Call it.
Heads.
It is tails. It was tails. It fell off my hand, but before it fell, I caught it. It was tails. Linda, you are going to be arguing for Elsa. Kay, you are arguing for Spider-Gwen.
I'm appropriately dressed.
Indeed,
I am
you
not.
are.
Oh,
Indeed,
what?
you are.
All right, I've got to.
Kay, we are going to start with you on this one. So tell me why Spider-Gwen is better to Freaky Friday with.
Okay, so you live in New York. I live in the largest city in Alaska, which isn't saying much, but traffic, right? Oh my gosh. Every day, traffic is absolute hell. My city has one highway in and out, and it has stoplights on it.
Hey,
it's
at least
the
you're not
dumbest thing.
Juno.
So if one could be Spider-Gwen for a day, your commute would be cut so short because you could just swing from tree to tree and get right to work in 5 minutes, so you don't have to deal with cars. Plus, it's probably better on the environment.
Interesting. Taking the travel route here. Interesting. I like that you're taking the travel route. Linda, what is your argument as to why it's better to Freaky Friday for 24 hours with Elsa as opposed to Spider-Gwen?
Okay, so everyone wants to have superpowers at some point in their lives, right?
Right.
Elsa has the power to of cryonesis if you watch the movies and stuff. So who would not want to have ice powers and powers to fly, change outfits, and then also have the office of being queen for 24 hours. So you would get like that temporary notice, that temporary status of powers and stuff. So
Now, Linda, of course, I know the definition of quiescence, but for our viewers, I don't actually know the definition. But for our viewers who don't know the definition of quiescence, can you please help us out? What is that?
Basically like ice bending. So making ice sculptures and the power
Fantastic. Kay, rebuttal?
I live in Alaska. Ice is overrated. Snow is overrated. It is fun for exactly one day, then I'm over it and ready to burn this whole state to the ground. Ice powers, overrated. Spider powers, amazing.
Well, which is why it's only 24 hours.
Ooh, interesting. Kay, would you like to respond to that?
So then
your
you would-
ice powers only last for 24 hours.
There would be ice all over the place from the previous days. Come
All right.
on.
Okay. Linda? Rebuttal?
You would absolutely get you would get the opportunity to be a monarch for a day, like Elsa. So you would have that experience, and then you could add it to your resume.
Interesting. So let's go with. I think we've hashed this topic for a little bit. Kay, let's just jump into some closing arguments. Feel free to rant as long as you like. What is it about Spider-Gwen that is really superior to Elsa's powers?
Well, first off, she would just be physically stronger. I mean, have you ever swung from a tree? It takes so much strength. I mean, defeating a water knock is pretty cool, but like, have you ever stopped all of New York City's bad guys and traveled through time and space? I don't think so. And also, if we'll remember, Elsa is not Queen of Arendelle anymore. She passed that title down to her little sister, so you wouldn't technically be a queen for a day either.
Can you explain a little bit further as to why being able to interdimensional time jump and being able to do some of these fantastic things, why is that a good thing?
Well, I don't know if anybody knows about Spider-Ham, but he seems like a really cool person to be friends with.
I cosplayed as Spider-Ham.
You did, and it was wonderful. So yeah, interdimensional travel, not only for the fighting of crime, but also making super friends who are, the different versions of yourself. That's pretty bad. I was going to say BA. I stopped myself.
It's pretty cool. How about that? It's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. There we are. There's a word.
Linda, final argument. What is it about Elsa that really makes her, just being her, superior for a day, hanging out with her powers and her titles over Spider-Gwen?
Okay, so first off, that scene in Frozen 2 where she essentially defeats the water knock, do not underestimate how much physical strength that would take. And she also not only controls the powers of ice, water, fire, and earth, but she essentially becomes like the culmination of all of them in the movie. So don't necessarily like brush that off. And then, yeah, I'm not the biggest Spider-Ham fan.
Okay.
I don't like John Mulaney. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, there you have it. Linda Moulton does not like Spider-Ham.
Or John
Mulaney.
Nope.
Awesome. I will let him know. All right, cool. So these two arguments, as it boiled down, Kay, again, your tone really makes me believe what it is that you're saying. Although living in New York, have you visited New York? Have you ever been here? Okay.
I have, yes.
So you understand the ridiculous amount of traffic and in swinging through the buildings and the effort that would take. It's a hard argument for me to swallow when you say it would be faster to swing to work as opposed to battle the traffic of Anchorage. That's a hard pill to swallow.
It's
Also, the argument that you make about you live in Alaska, hence why would anybody want ice powers? I very much would love ice powers. I think that would be great. Again, that's a hard pill to swallow. Linda, you won me over, especially like the last blow that you delivered at the end, saying that, or actually making a case for saying that Elsa is physically stronger than Spider-Gwen. When she battled, I still haven't seen Frozen 2, but you said that she battled like this creature and the immense strength that and skill that it would take to conquer a beast like this. Based on the arguments, I think that is the one that won it over for me. So Linda gets the point in round 3. So now we are at K1, Linda 2. We still have 2 more rounds to go if it comes to that. Ladies and gentlemen, do you agree with my ruling? Do you think I'm completely off the mark here? Again, go down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if I'm a little bit of a loon or a crazy person for thinking the way that I think. All right, ladies and gentlemen, going on to main debate question number 4. This one takes a dip into the horror genre. We are battling Crystal Lake versus Elm Street. This is Freddy versus Jason. This is a debate that has been going on for millennia. Thousands and thousands of years, people have been debating the merits of Freddy Krueger versus Jason Voorhees. But I would like to know, which one of them had the better franchise? Which one had the better franchise? Was it Freddy? Was it Jason? Friday the 13th versus Nightmare on Elm Street. I can't remember. Who did the last coin toss? Linda, I think you did. So, Kay, we're going to do a coin toss for you. Heads for Crystal Lake. Tails for Elm Street. And now that I'm thinking through this, it doesn't make any sense. If I'm assigning one side to the other, why are you calling it as I flip? That doesn't matter.
I don't know. I was just playing the game.
I'm calling myself out.
Okay.
So if it's heads, you will be battling for Crystal Lake, or you'll be arguing for Crystal Lake. If it is tails, you will be arguing for Elm Street. Are you ready? Here we go.
Yes.
It is heads. You will be arguing for Crystal Lake, and Linda, you will be arguing for Nightmare on Elm Street. And who started the last round? I don't remember.
I don't either. Was it me?
I
did you? I don't know.
You did. You showed your Spider-Gwen off.
Yes.
You were starting this round. What makes Nightmare on Elm Street a superior franchise?
Okay, there's nothing more terrifying than not feeling safe in your most vulnerable state, and that's when you're asleep. And so Nightmare on Elm Street plays on that. It brings up that you could get killed when you're in your sleep. Based on like a couple of different scenarios, and there's no remedy, there's no escape, there's no solution to it.
Fantastic. It's more dangerous when you can not get away in your sleep. Kay, what makes the Friday the 13th franchise a better franchise?
Playing off the idea of like attacking you when you're at your most vulnerable, one of the points in your life where you're going to be your most comfortable, maybe not the most vulnerable, but at least the most laid back and unaware of your surroundings, is when you're on a trip and when you're on vacation. And if somebody is trying to just get a break from the hustle and bustle of the big city and go out to, a nice lake and a nice cabin and just have a weekend off, and then a crazy murderer shows up, I think that's even scarier.
Interesting. So crazy murderer versus being able to get a good night's sleep, or not being able to get a good night's sleep, as the case may be. Linda, what is it about the franchise as a whole? I believe there's 8 movies in the series.
Mm-hmm.
It's had a long run, as has the Friday the 13th films. As a whole, as a collection, how do those films hold up against the Friday the 13th films?
Well, I'm just going to say this. I went to a Camp Crystal Lake in Florida for 6 summers, and I did not get murdered. So that's going to be my argument.
That's your entire argument based on the movies.
Yeah.
So you're going to disregard the question entirely. Gotcha.
Yep, I've only seen maybe 2. So
you have to fight for it. You have to make me believe
I know,
that you
but I did not get
you love
murdered
this.
at Camp Crystal Lake. So
Great,
Crystal
awesome.
Lake. So
Kay, what is it about the movies? There are like 10 or 11 Friday the 13th films. What is it about that franchise that makes it superior to Nightmare on Elm Street?
I think both characters are iconic, but I think Jason Voorhees is going to be the more iconic of the two, and that's what carries the franchise so well. So much so that one of my good friends is probably one of the biggest fans of horror films you will ever meet, and named his son Jason. So instead of naming him Freddy or Frederick, he did go with Jason. So I would say that's a strong argument for why that would be the superior bad guy in those two
Awesome,
franchises.
fantastic. Linda, final arguments. Sum it all up for us. What makes Freddy better than Jason?
again, I went to Camp Crystal Lake and I did not get murdered. I'm not a horror fan.
Sounds good. Kay, final thoughts.
Have you ever had someone walk toward you with a chainsaw running? It's terrifying. It's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So that's what I'm going with. That is by far probably one of the worst ways I can think to get dismembered and murdered is via chainsaw because it's not a clean cut. So that's why.
Good. All right, ladies. This has been a complete massacre of a round.
So, Kay, just out of curiosity, what would be some other worse ways to get dismembered other than chainsaw?
Getting sucked into the filter of a pool. That's one of my weird, very specific fears. Because it does it, but it's you. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad. And gosh, did you say worse ways?
Yeah.
Or better ways? Better ways.
Worse ways.
Worse ways. Combine harvester, that would hurt real bad.
I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying this particular portion of
the person at Disneyland when they switched America Sings and the other way Those are the worst ones I can think of. Clean cuts. That's
for me. It would be the same way as the original Alien film, just being sucked out into outer space. I think would be completely terrifying. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to declare Kay the official winner of this round. If for no other reason, Linda, you just completely gave up right in the middle.
Linda, I have seen none of these movies.
I've seen like bits and pieces of Nightmare on Elm Street.
I've seen none of any of these.
I did go to Camp Crystal Lake for 6 summers in a row.
I grew up next to Crystal Lake. That was going to be my next argument. But crazy things happen. Okay. Yay for me!
I'm sorry.
Poor Mike. He's trying to do something here, and we're both like,
rein it in. So do you guys agree with my judgment ruling on this one that the K was the winner of this round?
Yes.
Go ahead and jump down to the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to our very last round of Gotta Debate Them Movies. I'm super ready for it. I know neither one of our contestants are ready for it because this was the one question that I did not give to them in advance to start creating their arguments. So this is going to be completely on the fly. This is an apocalypse question. Now, hold on. I let me bring this up because I wrote a little thing. All right, here we go. Here's the scenario. Earth is about to explode just like Krypton. You are put on a space vessel with the rest of humanity headed to a new planet to colonize. But there is only enough memory left in the ship's onboard computer system to save one, and only one, film from the entire pantheon of films of humankind. Which film do you preserve? Now, this is a loaded question. I'll give you both a few moments to think of your answer. It's an open-ended question. We're not going to have a one or the other. You get to choose your answer. So while you're both are thinking of what your answer is going to be, let me jump back and do something that we were supposed to do at the very beginning of the show, and I completely forgot. So, ladies and gentlemen, I need to tell you how to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. It's really rather simple. You just go over to youtube.com and type in Gotta Love Them Movies. Once you're there, you'll see a little red button. Go ahead and click that subscribe button. Doing so will help me build my subscriber base. But Mike, why is it so important that you build your subscriber base? This video, this live stream is live streaming on Facebook. Why do we have to go over to YouTube? Well, I'll tell you this. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, this show is going to move from Facebook over to YouTube. Once we get to YouTube and I have enough subscribers and I have enough people watching the show, then we can, sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. Once we have enough subscribers and once we have enough people watching enough content of the show, I can start earning ad revenue. Once I start earning ad revenue, I can make this my full-time job. This can be my everyday life, bringing this show to you guys, talking about all the things that we love in the world, movies and movie news, and having debates, gotta debate the movies, all of this stuff. Very important, so I really hope that you can support me in that regard. Please go over to the YouTube channel and click subscribe. Anyway, guys, I think we've given both of our contestants enough time to figure out what their apocalypse movie is going to be. I think that's what we're going to call it, the apocalypse movie. You can only save one film from the entire pantheon of the history of films that have been made, you know, since the late 1800s. Well over about 125 years worth of film. What one movie do you save for the rest of humanity? Linda, do you have your movie?
I do.
Kay, do you have your movie?
I do.
Linda,
I do.
What movie will you be arguing for today?
I will be arguing for Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
That's a good one. Kay, what one movie do you choose to save from humanity, or for humanity, rather?
The Great Dictator by Charlie Chaplin.
Two great choices. Two fantastic films battle head to head. Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator versus Monty Python's Holy Grail. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Gotta Debate Them Movies. Based on a coin toss, Linda, you will be heads. Kay, you will be tails. Let's see who goes first. And it is Linda. Linda got heads. Linda, why is I almost said Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. Why is Monty Python's Search for the Holy Grail, or Monty Python and the Holy Grail, rather, why is that a better film than Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator?
Well, first off, it's got a very good story that it's based on. The King Arthur, and the Holy Grail, essentially. But it also has a lot of different storytelling elements that I think would be important when you're trying to rebuild the film industry, rebuild plays, rebuild theater, essentially. It's got a lot of very funny elements. It's got some great acting. It's got some... Oh, sorry, my upstairs neighbor is kind of moving furniture right now.
Oh, but no worries, I can't hear it.
Okay, good. I would have said Life of Brian initially, but I feel like because it's kind of based on a fictional story that there's more room for interpretation. So it's going to leave that for people who are going to initially...
Which one are you referring to as having the fictional story? Life of Brian, following the life of Jesus Christ, or Holy Grail?
Holy Grail is a fictional one.
Because King Arthur was still he was a historic figure.
I know, but
But the story surrounding it. Gotcha. Okay,
exactly.
I gotcha.
So the story of Camelot, and that just kind of leaves a lot of interpretation. And I feel like ultimately, if people are going to study that as a film, that would be the better one. They wouldn't be relying on historical texts. They wouldn't be relying on historical biographies, etc.
Interesting. Excellent. Wonderful point. Kay, what makes Charlie Chaplin's The Great Dictator the superior film here?
So something we need to keep in mind is Charlie Chaplin produced his own films. He got no money from Hollywood. It was all him making these films, especially during this time when the Office of War Information was in charge of what films made it to screen and what was in the content of those films. And in those films, they had to make sure that everything in it was as America wanted it to be produced. There was one film, I don't remember the name of it, but there was a dance in it and a musical number that had bayonets being shoved at the screen, and they were singing Dressed Up to Kill. And the Office of War Information said, we got to scratch that. We can't be the bad guys. So they got rid of the guns and changed it to Dressed Up to Win. This was one of the films that the Office of War Information had no control over, and was initially, I guess, eventually one of the things that got the ball rolling on getting Charlie Chaplin kicked out of America. So he went out and made this film all on his own, putting his own money and career on the line for not only a film with content that the government doesn't want out there, but a talkie. And he, up to that point, was mostly famous and popular for silent films. Plus, that iconic final speech from the great dictator, it makes its way around Facebook every few years, that of him as Adenoid, the man pretending to be Adenoid Hinkle, saying he doesn't want to be emperor and that we all need to find the humanity in our hearts, is a lesson that is still applicable today in 2020. So that's why I think it's the superior film that I would definitely keep in if the apocalypse are coming and I can only save one.
That's a great point. Linda, Kay talked about how the meaning of the film still has relevance in 2020. Two questions for you. One, why does... sorry, my air conditioning just turned off and my attention span got drawn. Why does Monty Python and the Holy Grail have a better message than the Great Dictator, first of all? And second of all, what is it about the Great Dictator that makes it not so great?
Okay, so full disclosure, I've only seen a couple of scenes from The Great Dictator. So I'm just going to say that right at the top. I feel like Monty Python and the Holy Grail has kind of a more open ending, if that makes sense. The Great Dictator has kind of it's got a clear message. It's got a moral that people are supposed to follow. They're supposed to like. Monty Python and the Holy Grail has a message of, this is supposed to make you laugh. You're supposed to have this background story that you're following of this historical figure, of this literary figure. And it's done through a series of sketches. It's done through a series of chapters, and people can decide. And then I feel like if you're going to have that as the only film that has survived an apocalypse, you want to give people the opportunity to learn. You want to give people the opportunity to make more films.
Can you delve into the comedy aspect a little bit? Because this is the second or third time you've brought it up. What is it about comedy in film, and specifically we'll talk about the comedy within Holy Grail. Why is the comedy of Holy Grail more important than the drama of the Great Dictator?
I honestly want to say it's because it's more sketch-based. So it's done in chapters rather than scenes. The one that I want to draw back to is the Black Knight in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So it's only a flesh wound, etc. So that could be just one little story, and it could kind of go back to
so essentially, if I can kind of sum up what you're saying, earlier you said that it was sketch based, and I'm trying to wrap my mind around what you mean by it being sketch based, in that there's each sketch essentially, or each bit of the movie carries its own moral value within each component of the film. Okay, excellent. Kay, do you have a rebuttal to this? What is it about the drama of The Great Dictator that makes it superior to the comedy? Or rather, why is drama in this sense more important than comedy?
I wouldn't say that the drama is more important than the comedy. I would say there's plenty of comedy in this. I mean, it's Charlie Chaplin. His physical comedy paved the way for people like groups like Monty Python and comedians today to do what they do. So that's why I would argue that it's more iconic and more important to keep. But it's hard to say if comedy is more important than drama. However, there's a dance in this called the Globe Dance that is an iconic dance and very, very funny. I think that might have I think that has just as much sticking power as the comedy that is in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's just delivered in a more, I don't want to say diverse, but a more diverse universe, because it's mixed in with drama, it's mixed in with intrigue. So it's not just funny all the time. There's some funny along with the rest of the stuff. I would also argue that even if it were a case of like which is more important, drama or funny, this has it all. This has everything that you would want as far as like a little bit of comedy, a little bit of drama. And of course, like I mentioned, that sticking power of the lessons from it that can apply to our daily lives, to cinema today, when it comes to censorship. There's a lot of reasons why I would say this one is superior.
Excellent. Linda, closing arguments. Kay brought up censorship within film and cinema, and how the great dictator and Charlie Chaplin himself paved the way to create other great comedians like Monty Python and other comedians that made films in this regard. What is it about John Cleese and Eric Idle and Graham Chapman and all the rest of them that made this film superior, not just in comedy, but in drama as well?
I feel like because it was based on a mostly fictional character, that kind of led for less censorship, if that makes sense. And it would just mean that people were able to watch this film, they were able to relate to it more. So I haven't seen The Great Dictator. I've only seen bits and pieces of it, but I know what it's parodying. I know who the figures are. I know Charlie Chaplin's like history pretty much. But I feel like this would be something that people could relate to if they wanted to, even though like it's the apocalypse and we only had one film like in the database. They could go back into records and they could ultimately build upon that. So it's not necessarily comedy versus drama. It's kind of like relatability. The more that
Awesome.
I think about it.
Kay, final thoughts. What is it about the relatability to this subject matter of like a 1970s comedy, or I guess a 1980s, early 80s comedy of Monty Python, as opposed to The Great Dictator?
I think it's also incredibly relatable. So the main character is a veteran who is suffering from PTSD and has memory loss. And that's something that we see all the time in our society with people around us of sufferings from PTSD. And that's very relatable for a lot of military people, but also, non-military individuals. I have PTSD as well. So I would say that's really relatable to be able to see that kind of representation from a film from the 40s when that wasn't even a thing yet. But that's very clearly what's happening with this character. Also, just look around at our world right now. There's a lot of strife. There's a lot of bad things happening. And that can be easily related to the stories and the lessons from this film. And like I said, that last speech where he comes together and says, I don't want to be an emperor. I just want everyone to be kind. I want us all to unite and, have peace. That would be really nice right now.
Oh, man, you guys, these are two excellent arguments. All the points that both of you brought are incredibly strong. You laid out your cases. You made very good, like I said, cases as to why each of these films are superior than the other and what it is that we learn from them. Oh, man. So, man, Linda, you were the first one to bring up relatability. And that was a 1-2 punch that I was like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that. But it's true. There's a lot of relatability. And as well, you brought up a really interesting point about like how the film is more sketch-based in that we have like little vignettes. And as we go through each vignette of the story, because all the vignettes together create this big, long narrative, when you tie them all or not even when you tie them all together, when you break them down, each vignette has its own morality tale to it. like the you didn't mention this, but Sir Robin, seeing like the three-headed monster or whatever. The Knights Who Say Knee with their shrubberies. The castle of the women trying to seduce the men. Like each segment of the movie has its own very strong morality tale. And it's obviously it's comedically based. And it's all done very tongue-in-cheek, but there's a very strong point to each one. Now, Kay, to your credit, you came right out of the bat and saying, like, first of all, you gave us the background as to why the film exists and the hardships that it had when it was being created. You were talking about how important this film is in terms of relatability to 2020 and how important it is and how like we can still learn lessons from it. And there's a lot about that movie that reflects the current culture and climate of today. So
Unfortunately.
Right? Yes. Oh, yes.
I gotta watch it.
It's so good. It's so good. You're not gonna regret it. Sorry.
It's fantastic.
I've literally only seen bits and pieces of it. So like the final speech and then maybe one bit in the middle.
See, iconic.
Yeah.
Iconic.
Even Kay, when you were talking about like, because I had, as you were giving your argument, I forgot that this was a comedy. Like, it very much is a drama, but it's also very much a comedy. Until you brought that point up, I just totally forgot. That it's both a drama, making very strong, poignant commentary to the world that we live in today, as well as giving us reasons to laugh. So yeah, both of these arguments, very, very, very strong. It's hard to pick one, but if I'm leaning in one direction as opposed to the other, Kay, I'm leaning in your direction. Linda, my apologies. No
worries.
This was a hard one to judge because both of your arguments were very strong. You made very great points for both. But yeah, at the end of the day, Kay, I think that.
Linda, you did so good, and I literally did my senior thesis on this movie. I'm so sorry. I know so much about this film, and you did so good.
You did.
Man. Well done.
Yeah. So Kay, you are our official winner here for Gotta Love Them Movies. Gotta Debate Them Movies. If you are able and willing, I'd love to have you back next week. Hope that we can get our video situations figured out. And all the rest of it.
Hope we get to watch horror movies. So
people who watch horror
I threw that in
movies.
there specifically. I wanted to like switch the genre up. We did 2 questions about superheroes. Like everything's a little frilly and made up. Let's do something completely different and off the mark. Let's see how well you fare when you're not familiar with the subject matter.
Which
Anyway, guys, what do you think? Do you agree with my final rulings that Kay delivered the better argument in this last round? Or do you feel that Monty Python and the Holy Grail, as delivered by Linda Moulton, had the stronger argument? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is the end of the show. I would like to thank both of my guest panelists today. Linda, thank you so much for joining us. You were a fantastic debater. I would love to have you on the show again. Maybe try to, go for that 1-2 punch one more time. Let's see if you can knock the champion out.
We'll see.
Most definitely.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Mike. This was so fun.
Congrats, Kay. It was a lot of fun.
Linda, where can people find you online?
So you can find me at Cud Galactica. So CUDGALA.
It's literally on the screen right beneath you.
Yep.
It's right there.
No worries. It's hard to spell. That's on Twitter. Instagram at Ellie Moulton.
We're not going to worry about that. Let's just stick with Cud Galactica.
No worries. Yeah. Just stick to Twitter because I put a lot of stuff there.
Fantastic. Awesome.
That's it.
And Kay as well, our winner for the day. Thank you so much for joining us. Kay, where can people find you online?
So Twitter, Calamity K. Hopefully
Indeed
it's
it
there
is.
somewhere. Hopefully I
Nope,
didn't
still
mess
there.
that up. And I'm also host a podcast called The Fanatarium, where we just talk about different fun, nerdy things. It was a Star Wars podcast, then we branched out, but it's still mostly Star Wars.
Ooh.
So yeah, either of those
Fantastic.
places.
Linda, anything to plug before we go?
No, I'm pretty much starting grad school this week, so I've
Oh, congratulations!
Awesome.
You're in academic. Brave.
with that.
Awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share. Because that is what Charlie Chaplin and the Great Dictator would want you to do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike Brown. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, bye-bye.